Alrighty then, begun rinsing this. So this is untouched and it seems like not that much of a difference, but I spent a few hours yesterday scraping off. I had a whole cartwheel over there full of dirt just from this area here. And now I'm just taking little pieces at a time, showering with the hose. And it takes actually a surprising amount of time. It's also in part because there are some vegetative growths. In combination with this being very rugged surface with a lot of cavities. So you can see here that the roots are kind of well entrenched deep within the rock. So I just have to kind of shower away some dirt, pull away some roots, and keep doing that until this part is clean. And this has to be, in particularly this stretch here. And here was the most roots, of course, but this is pretty much where I have to put it. I don't have to, but I choose to. And then I'll get it here. Now this would of course be going a lot easier if I had a high pressure. This is just a regular garden hose. So you turn it on. And so it goes something like this. Showering off piece by piece, roots exposed, pull them out. Some of the roots stay loosened as I shower at it. And so good. I'm clearing out a little more margins than I actually need. As I said, this is the area I'm actually gonna, but I'm taking a little bit extra just because. And so this is what I'm going to be doing for the next hour or so, I assume, because even though it seems like it's not that much, it's really like nitpicky shit. It takes a lot of time. This would have been much easier, again, like I said, with a high pressure. It would be able to rip off the roots. So you see here, nothing happens. Roots are still there. So even like this little piece of grass here, able to hold. So it's not a lot of pressure here. And that's why this will be taking quite a lot of time. You may wonder, is this a problem down here? I'm getting a bunch of water. Isn't this going to fill up my supposed basement? No, not really, because you see here, all this is drainage. And so, what I am going to show you, whoops, I'll just turn this off. There you go. This is one of the neat little design features I have for this house, or rather for the foundation of this house. The same is for this one. I made actually a very tall one. I'll show you. Where I use the gravel to raise it. So here you can see the gravel there. That's like an extreme case. Here I've raised over a meter. That's why I have made extra support beam to keep it back and hold the wall. But the foundation for this house in its entirety is also resting on a bunch of those rocks to make sure that the water drain, because of course, we have a lot of rain here, and I don't want to be turning my house into a dam. So you can see the water, it is coming out here. And then it just pours down, and I have made pits down here so that the water settles. So what I can do often, be it raining or whatever, there will be patches where there's soil, fine silt, that I can just pick up, throw up here, and use that for stuff. And the same goes for the sand, of course. And I want excess nutrients to be captured by the trees over there. So I have actually dammed it up. That's why the water remains. You see the silt. Most of this dark thing you see here, that is actually from me recently having gone around with the hose and shove it up. You see, it stills down here. Here the insects love it. Birds like to come by, of course, for that reason, and also frogs to some extent. I'm hoping frogs, not frogs. I haven't seen actually frogs, but that tends to be following. Insofar as you have continuously running water, and since I let a lot of the topography funnel the water, I didn't do much related. It was a little bit like that, but then I facilitated a little bit more. And then I have dammed up a little bit up here, so that more of this is as deep as I could dig it down here, in order to keep this like a freshwater pond and again attract frogs. And the trees here are kept, and I want them to absorb as much nutrients as possible and keep growing as well as possible, so they can shield from the northeastern winds, which can be, and southwestern winds for that matter, straight southeastern and straight east, basically wind hitting the house, because as you can see the house is quite raised and it has the broad side facing this way. So when there's strong winds from the south and the north, it's mostly just the eastern or western currents the house it gets. So that's one of the reasons I have gathered rocks here. I'm gonna try to get more. And this is the border of the plot of my property, and so what I'm going to do here is like this rock wall here, and then I'm going to try to plant trees. These are peas, and under here is a bunch of logs. These are peas, and I'm going to wipe them out if they start producing fruits, so that the nitrogen in them will go into the soil and facilitate for the decomposition of the wood under and make really good soil. Got some more wood there for that purpose. And so then I'm gonna try to plant trees along this line here and up there, having of course some entry points such as this one. Yeah, probably some more. So like this tree here, for example, is going to be staying here. I'm going to try to nurture it so it grows big, and because I'm going to need pretty much whatever wind shielding I can get. There isn't much space. I don't have a lot of depth here to break the wind, and I don't want to make a wall. I like trees better. So like hopefully they won't knock down that, but I'm not really in charge of that. The same goes for here. They might choose to keep it if anyone moves to this plot. This plot is available for those who choose to move to this village. And it goes for like virtually nothing. As long as you are dedicated to live here for like 5 to 10 years, the plot is very cheap. And this is a measure they took to try to, because we're having a lot of like depopulation issues, people migrating away, as is very common in rural areas, at least in Norway. And so it's an initiative to kind of get more people to live here. So I was renting someplace and I was about to move away, but for whatever reasons I decided to buy this plot, get this house, and that's what I'm working on. So I was really just going to show like the scraping off of the like it can be a little bit tiresome and take time, and as a part of the process, so one can see that like much of the work actually happens even before construction begins. And I was supposed to be beginning with that today, but I haven't. I have bricks, as you can perhaps see if this shit focuses. Come on, focus. So I got bricks over there that I can use to continue. I got rebars, but I don't have enough concrete to make the foundation or mortar, and that was what I was supposed to get today. So that'll have to wait until tomorrow. But that's fine, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Like I mentioned, this part here, I'm still going to be spending probably an hour before this is rinsed to a satisfactory degree. And I will have to take a little bit over there, but I did most of that last year, so it shouldn't be much. And once I've done that, what I'm going to do is start tearing down this part of the parking lot, because all this that you see here, it was so that the crane that delivered the house, because the house was pre-moduled, right? So they basically lifted the house from a trucker, and a special trucker, and placed it on here. And so I needed this to be really solid and firm, and I needed to get it all the way here, because like if I didn't get it close enough, I would have to get like some exceptionally powerful crane that could take it from a distance, which would be very difficult or maybe even impossible. But now I do not need it. I don't have a car. I'm not going to get one. I might be getting a four-wheeler if anything. And people, I'm not having usually so many visitors. There's a parking lot there in the case. I mean, the neighbors tend to use that quite often, so why not me? And all this rock and gravel here is excellent. This is the same kind of gravel I've used for draining This is mostly granite, and we call it gneiss in the region. This be granite, and this being gneiss, which is a somewhat mixture of granite and quartz. And this is very, very hard rock that is excellent for construction. So now that I have no need for this kind of large parking lot, I'm going to start demolishing it. And I think I'm not entirely sure, but as far as I remember, here we go. So the bedrock here goes through here and through there. So I may choose to take it all the way there and have people just park there and that's it. Maybe expand a little bit there so they can turn around. But like I said, I don't really need this much of a parking lot. So I want this part to be torn down and repurposed for construction. And that basically means I will also have to wash quite a lot of the rocks. Also this gravel here, right? So I'm just gonna wash away the sand. So it's only gravel, and I'll mix it in with the concrete to make it both stronger and to save on the concrete. The same goes for the gravel. And, then I think I'm going to be trying to make like some tree lines. I'm not entirely sure how to do the layout. It depends a little bit on the terrain when I'm done. I'll think about it while I'm working on it. And then then I can have some shielding, like some privacy from the neighbors and them from me, of course, as well. And it's nicer. I like trees. I'm gonna have to have more trees, but of course I cannot have that many trees around here without it blocking the view for the neighbors. And as you can see, we have a pretty nice view here. And so of course I can have some trees, but if I have to maintain them in a way that I'm not forced to by law. I can actually cover this whole hill with trees, and there's pretty much nothing they can do about it. But that wouldn't make me a very good neighbor, now would it? So, well, this video turned out, I was just gonna have like 2 minutes, and this became 12. Well, small miscellaneous stuff. Maybe you're interested, and maybe it helps you to. Of course, I'm going to be washing here, and all these rocks that I've hand-picked and separated, I'm going to use to even out this part here. And then I'll use flat rocks just like I did there. That is temporary because I'm going to be moving that septic tank to the other side. I would have done so at the outset, but time constraints and other circumstances made it so that I had to place it there, which looks kind of unsightly. So I connect the walls here, and then by next year I think I will be making a proper roofing over here, so I have a basement with a very tall ceiling. And then depending on the prices and circumstances, I'll have the septic tank drained and moved at some point. And so that's why the rocks here, it looks aesthetically nice, but it's very poorly done. It's not very firm, the ground here. There's a turf, sand and dirt, and then so the rocks here, they are inclined to move around, which they shouldn't be doing. But they're still much better to go on than if they were not here, because then you will be stepping on mud and dirt like you would here. But when I do move this part here, I mean, it looks kind of cool. I really like this, how it turned out. So I'll make something similar, but this is temporary. So by next year, it's probably going to be growing a lot of grass and stuff like that in between these rocks. Not really going to do that much. But at some point, I just simply gather all these rocks that I have sorted out over time. And then I will lay a more permanent, a better one that I will make it so it's more proper and more firm. Ideally I would have it something like this. This is the absolute best, because once it's rinsed completely and you fill it just with clean rocks, and then you have clean flat rocks, it's going to be a long time before anything grows on it. And I find like the natural rocks with a lot of variety to be a lot more pleasing to the eye than the uniformity of it all. And since I do get so much rocks just by virtue of digging around and scraping and doing this stuff, it takes a little bit more time sorting out these rocks, but to me it's worth it. Yeah, I guess I've done enough house things. Maybe I should take a video for a tour, a more coherent tour. I want to go loose at this is one of those places I've actually gotten a lot of rocks, but rocks are heavy and I'm not a particularly strong guy, so that's why it isn't so many rocks as I would have liked to. But In a week's time or so, I'm gonna contact the person again he's on a vacation. That's why he said I had to wait until August. And then I'll have a friend of mine who operates machinery to get a lot of mass over here. So I'll have rocks sorted out as I keep digging, but I'll have a lot of mass here to kind of smoothen out, even out, and kind of enrich the area, because I want to make that part over there either as a wild zone, partly a wild zone, or with a lot of agricultural opportunities like that. So, and everything where I'm growing is going to be looking like that for ergonomic reasons, also because it facilitates for breaking the wind, retaining water, and not to mention it looks a lot nicer. So the value of the house and the land around it will appreciate quite a bit due to even though the materials themselves are fairly cheap, or maybe even in my case it's for free because I just use what I have around here. It's quite a lot of work, and that is assessed when one appraises the value of the house. And then I guess if I can this year, I doubt I would be able to. I would expand a couple of meters out, and I'll raise with rocks. I should use the bricks here as well, because this is temporary. This was just I recycled pallets and other materials that were used during the construction and stuff like that. A lot of knocking, a lot of crowbarring and stuff like that. But you say it's like untreated wood. It's starting to crack several places, so like it's yeah, you see like it cracks around here area. So, and I don't care to have like wood construction here. I'm going to expand the house anyways, but I don't care to have a lot of wood that has to be frequently maintained. I would rather to have the bricks, so it is pretty much a permanent thing. And in that vein, since I already have a fairly tall wall here, which I did make on purpose, yes, I'm gonna when I make the walls out here from the rebar, still using rebar, double rebars like this on every single layer. I'll move out 1 meter, then add a layer so it gets taller, and then 1 meter more, and that is where the house is going to be. And then I'll have to expand later for a balcony, but for the time being, if I manage to expand it, that will be my new entry, and then later on it will be the basis for expanding the house. And as you may have guessed, that is my plan also here. I think it's up to deer more or less, I'm not really entirely sure, but 3 to 4 meters. I try to get a diagonal here so that the window spacing in the view can be out there, because I don't have that now the whole thing there is in the way. And having it also 1 layer taller, so that this house will be a living room mostly, or half of it at least, and then it will be a stair up, and that will ensure that you have virtually no visibility from the road, but you still maintain the view. And since the house is going to be then quite tall up on a windy hill, yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm also making it from brick. This shit is going to be so strong, not even hurricanes is going to take it out. So, ta-da.